Good day, this is Doctor Incorporated bringing you this week's installment of The Truth About Employed Physicians. I want to thank you for all that you've done this week in your job as a physician. Regardless of where you're located in this country, there are so many people who have been benefited by the work that you do, taking care of patients every day. I know a lot of those patients don't often offer their responses of gratitude to you, but I want you to know that as a fellow physician, I know the hard work that you do, the extra hours you take, the attention you take to that extra phone call, the personal efforts that you make to speak to patients one-on-one, to relay information that is very personal and pertinent to them. I want to thank you for that. I'm reminded this week by a patient who called to leave a message for me and basically expressed to me their gratitude for the work that I've been doing with their children. It was a nice message because it wasn't asking me for anything. It was just simply an expression of their appreciation for the work that I do for them that goes above and beyond the normal call of duty that we have as physicians. I hope maybe you've received a note or a verbal response like that from a patient this week, but if you haven't, keep doing the right thing for the right reason and keep working hard to take care of patients the way you've been called to. And I want to express my gratitude to you for doing that. This week's truth is going to be talking about some of the benefits that we receive from our employers in terms of our employer packages. What I've discovered through my experiences is there are 4 benefits to employed physicians that are really often not beneficial to you. We're going to take some time today to unpack that a bit more, but those 4 benefits that I want to highlight this week are your retirement programs, which are often framed in 401k programs, your CME benefits, your healthcare insurance, and then your professional deductions and tax strategies. I love being an employed physician, and I know many of you who are fellow employed physicians feel the same way. There's so many good things about being an employed physician in today's healthcare environment. But one of the things that I want you to also recognize is that there are things that you give up in the process of choosing to be an employed physician and choosing to accept the benefit programs and packages that your employer offers to you. There are limitations to those, and today we're going to talk a little bit about those. And I will also express to you that what I've discovered is that you can choose to remain employed, but by choosing an employee light contract or program as opposed to the traditional employment program, you can maximize some of these benefits. And so I'm going to elucidate to you today some of the limitations that you have in your traditional employment packages, and then contrast that with some of the benefits that you can obtain by transitioning to an employment light type contract or program. Not pushing for one way or the other, but I certainly want to make you aware of those limitations. Let's talk about retirement savings first. It's important for you to know and understand an acronym called ERISA, the Employment Retirement Income Security Act. This is an act that influences heavily what your employer can offer to you in terms of retirement plans, and it covers most employee-sponsored retirement plans. It includes 401k plans, pensions, deferred compensation, and profit-sharing plans. It does not cover retirement plans set up and administered by government entities and churches, such as many of the 403b plans. It also does not apply to simplified employee pension plans or SEP plans, and it doesn't apply to individual retirement accounts. But most of you have some sort of 401k or a Roth 401k program that your employer provides, which allows you to maximize savings for retirement and benefit from the tax breaks associated. The reward to you as an employer is that if by you participating in these programs, you receive tax free money that goes into these programs. And due to the rising cost of living that exists in our country, etc., these are great programs for you to participate in. And I certainly encourage you to maximize your 401k or Roth 401k program. Contributing to these 401k programs allows you to use pre-tax dollars. Pre-tax monies means that it flows directly from your paycheck into the plan before the taxes are deducted. As a result of this, less of your income ends up getting taxed. The assessment of the tax is at the point of when the funds are removed from the account, which is usually at a lower rate for physicians in particular as high-income earners. Right now, your effective tax rate is likely to be much higher than it is when you eventually retire. Now, there is a thing called the Roth 401k program in which you can also contribute after-tax money to a 401k program. And after-tax means that the cash flows from your check into the plan after tax deductions. The trade-off of this qualified withdrawal is that you are down the road. You find that these funds are tax-free. A Roth 401k plan is a particularly useful tool if you end up in a lower tax bracket after retirement, and many physicians find these Roth-type programs are really wise for them to invest in. But here's the kicker that you need to know and understand, that employees are limited by ERISA to the same rules for tax advantage savings as applies to the lowest level employee in their company. There's a maximum of $19,500 that can be placed in these 401k programs, and up to $6,000 can be applied if you're over 50 in addition to the $16,500. The $19,500. These employee ERISA limits are typically not going to lead to enough savings on a pre-tax basis to allow you to reach the retirement lifestyle that you're used to in your pre-retirement days. This is a little-known fact that basically the amount that your employer is going to be able to maximize with you and your partnership with them will typically only lead to you reaching about 50% of your retirement needs as a physician. And this is a critical thing to understand. The bottom line is that your 401k program as a physician is likely to lead to a retirement shortfall. A lot of physicians don't realize this. They basically are maximizing their 401k, stacking away that money, and really sort of trusting in the process of just accumulating that money that it will lead to a nest egg that will allow them to retire at a level they want. Today's ERISA caps really make it difficult for you to reach that goal. And it's also difficult for physicians often to save enough money with after-tax savings to really reach that goal as well. So what's the solution? Employed physicians can work with their financial planner to become super savers. They can work with their employer-sponsored program, typically in a 401k, to bank away as much pre-tax as possible. And then you're going to augment that post-tax savings in a program that allows you to reach your projected goal. My recommendation, though, is for you to consider converting to an employee-like contract, for you to form your own PC and to craft an individualized retirement program that allows you to reach your projected needs. When I made this move, I was able to restructure my retirement savings from the ERISA limitations of $56,000 pre-tax to nearly a $200,000 pre-tax retirement saving program through a 401k defined benefit plan for my wife and myself. This basically nearly increased our retirement program to 4 times that I was receiving through my employer, and really allowed me to more comfortably reach the desired destination that I had in retirement. This is a pretty big deal for most physicians, and bottom line, I want you to understand as an employed physician is that your current employment program for retirement likely will not allow you to reach your desired destination at retirement. I want you to think about this, maybe work with your tax or financial planner to think through more strategically how you can reach the goals that you will have in retirement. Consider bulking this up through various programs your planner can help you with, or consider transitioning to a Employee Light program that allow you to maximize your retirement savings. The second area that physicians can get frustrated with are CME restrictions. I know many of you are given an X amount of money for CME per year that can range anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 to $4,000 per year, but I know from my prior experience with my employer that those numbers are relatively small, and then they add additional restrictions to those about where you can travel, both inside and outside the country, and really begin to nitpick a little bit at how those CME reimbursement fees are given to you in terms of where you can go and what you can use that money for. It gets to be a source of frustration for many physicians. They find that those CME dollars really don't stretch very far, especially given some trips that physicians like to take to nice locations and staying in nice places, and many times taking their family with them on those CME activities. What I've come to realize is that by forming my own corporation and engaging in a employment-like contract, that I now can travel anywhere I want, wherever there's accredited CME afforded to me, and that includes anywhere in the world. So the cost of the trip really becomes a little bit irrelevant to me, and the location of the trip becomes a little bit irrelevant to me in terms of restrictions, and I can really choose along with my wife where we want to go and do our CME. Yes, I do need to take into account the cost of this in terms of the global budget of my corporation, but it really affords me a great deal of freedom to choose to go where I want. There are no financial restrictions to this. My corporation pays all the CME for me with pre-tax dollars, and it really turns out to be a great benefit to me. One of the things I like to do too is I use a company called Sea Courses out of Canada to go to some of the more exotic locations because they afford a program that includes my spouse being able to attend the program for, quote, free with me. It's a nice benefit in that all the CME expenses are covered through my corporation, but again, my spouse is allowed to attend these with me for free, which is really enjoyable as well. In your current employment structure as a standard employed physician, as you know, spouses are often not included in those, and you have to pay for those out of pocket. There's still a benefit, and your company is covering a good deal of the overhead associated with that travel and expenses, and adding your spouse in is a small element, but it's nice to be able to house this all within your own corporation and allow your spouse to come in a covered fashion. Let's talk a little bit about health insurance as well. The reality is that your employer is asking you to pay more and more of the expenses associated with healthcare, from the premiums to the deductibles. More and more of it is being allocated to you. And what you're beginning to realize as physicians is that it really costs a lot to receive healthcare in this country, even for you as a physician. I can remember 25 years ago when I signed up for my first employee contract with our hospital. My little hospital covered virtually all of our expenses at the hospital: x-rays, labs, inpatient care, ER care, physician office expenses. Really everything was covered free. And then I had a catastrophic coverage on top of that. Those days are gone. Those are the days of old. No longer do they exist. Now you have an increasing amount of your paycheck that goes towards healthcare expenses, and then the deductibles are pretty large as well when it comes to this. One of the things that I've found when I reorganized myself into an employee-like contract and formed my own PC was that I was able to structure my PC to cover a good portion of my expenses. My own PC covers my private healthcare insurance for me and my family, and that's a great benefit to me. Yes, this is taxable as a wage in most instances, but it's a great benefit that I receive through my corporation. My company also pays all of my out-of-pocket expenses, including the deductibles, and also provide an HSA program for me that allows me to save pre-tax dollars in an account that can be used like a mini retirement account in the future. Basically, my out-of-pocket expenses for healthcare through my own company become very minimal through the combination of these processes, which is much different than you receive in a standard employment benefit package for healthcare, even as a physician. Last thing I'll mention to you is that professional deductions and benefits and tax strategies. By forming my own PC as an S corporation and employing myself in a PC, I now can unlock many benefits uniquely available to small businesses that are not available to you as an employee of a large healthcare corporation. I will add here that many of the owners and administrators of these health corporations maintain the benefits I'm going to mention to you, but as an employee, you are not afforded those benefits. The first I'll highlight is that you are able to lower your marginal tax rate by lowering your wages. Your household income remains unchanged in a business structure in which your income is flowed to you through the wages from your own corporation paying you, but now it also flows through the PC or the company's distributions to you as well. Your total income in your home doesn't go down, but your own personal wages does go down, which allows you to be taxed at a lower rate, and overall reduces your taxes in your household. As I mentioned previously, healthcare insurance and healthcare coverage is greatly improved through a PC or an S Corp. Number 3, you can employ your spouse and children in your corporation. This has many tax advantages as this income is brought into your home. And by opening this door, you're opening the door to retirement savings, college savings, and even private school offering coverage for your children, as well as other family members, including your spouse. Number 4, there's a home office expense. Now, this can be a little tricky, but done properly with the advice of your accountant, you can certainly outsource some of the expenses associated with home office expenses. Again, for physicians, this can be a little tricky. I encourage you to work closely with your accountant, but there are some opportunities here. One little known benefit is that you can also rent your home to your PC. When structured properly, you can rent your own home at fair market value to your PC 14 times per year to be reimbursed to you tax-free. Again, I said reimbursed to you tax-free. This is called a dwelling unit reimbursement program. It's a little known benefit that can amount to a significant tax-free income to you each year when structured properly through your tax attorney or through your tax accountant. The 6th benefit is that you can have reimbursement of your business-related travel expenses. You can track your profession-related expenses very simply through an app on your phone called MileIQ or others that are similar to it, and then submit those miles for reimbursement through your corporation. Note this can't be added up in terms of your normal business travel from your home to your office, but for physicians, there's a lot of traveling that we do, depending on your specialty, to provide care at the hospital, your clinic, and other locations, and this can be tracked through simple apps like MileIQ, and then really lead to a significant amount of tax-free reimbursement to you each year. You can also reimburse your own cell phone expenses, and through using these in an accountable plan, you can really outsource and expense out your digital access, such as internet data and cell phones, to be reimbursed. You can also begin a vehicle leasing or depreciation program, and depending on how your corporation is organized, you may be able to pass these expenses on through your PC through leasing and a depreciation program that allows you to expense out your vehicles, which is a pretty significant savings. And lastly, as I mentioned previously, the 9th is that you can have significant retirement savings through opening your own small business PC and then funneling your retirement accounts in an individual way through those small business plans. there's a lot of benefits that you have to being an employed physician. But there are some benefits that don't favor you in those plans. And I encourage you to just take some time to reflect on this, take some time to think about how you might consider individualizing these plans and then maximizing this for yourself and in the future. This is a truth that you need to know as an employed physician, and I encourage you to think about these things. I look forward to hearing your thoughts and responses in regard to this, and I hope you have a great week.